you have the ability to change the shape of your lettering segments as well. So you can have it just be straight across or down a vertical line. You can arc it, or you can actually bend and manipulate it according to a line that you digitize or edit. So let's look at that. All right, so I'm going to start with just a lettering segment. And I'm going to do all caps because I think it's going to show a little bit better. All right, so I just create one just like I would any other time. But this time I'm going to change the colors so you can see the difference in the lettering and the baseline a little bit more easily. And the first thing we need to do is go into Properties and look at the line type. So this is where I'm looking. All right. The line type straight is just a straight horizontal line. Go straight across, just like you'd be reading, just like whatever. All right, the next one is vertical. Now, most of these, if not all of these, I would only do with a single line of lettering. I would not do this with multiple lines of type because it again, tends to get a little bit odd. But here is your vertical. This is nice for perhaps going down the sleeve or going down a pant leg, something like that. The next one, well, while we're on this one, so with the normal straight line type, you know that you can move letters along a line, and you can do that here too. You just click and drag, and it moves along the line. If you want to move it off of the line, hold Control to move it off of the line. So instead of up and down or left and right, think about it as along a line or off of the line. So I'm going to hit undo a couple times to get back to where we were. And now I'm going to go to an arc. So this follows an arc. It rotates the letters along that line. And you can change how tight that arc is by changing the radius. So the distance from the center of the circle to the edge of the circle is the radius, and then your lettering falls just outside of that. And you can change that here by typing in a new number. So if I type in 2 inches and hit apply, my lettering arc will get a little bit tighter. Let's go back to 3. You can also change it graphically. So I can change by clicking on the handle, either handle, the center or the edge, and I can drag it any which way I want. As I'm doing this, I'm also changing the angle of where it appears on that arc. If you want to constrain that line angle to hold into 0 or 15, you can hold Alt and it will snap to those 15-degree increments. If your preferences are set to 15-degree increments for constrained line angle, it will snap to that. Now, if I want something on the bottom of a circle, so let's put this back to 3 just because even numbers are kind of nice. And then if I want something on the bottom of a circle, there are 360 degrees in a circle, so the bottom of a circle is 180. So if I want it on the bottom, I type in 180 here. And now I'm on the bottom of a circle, but that can be a little bit hard to read. So this is nice if you are doing something like a state seal where the lettering goes all the way around and it's read all the way around. But if you want, and I just realized I'm doing that backwards for you, so this would be proper for you. So if you want to read it this way, and then you want the other one to read this way, you'll want to have 2 lettering segments. So let's start out with what would be the top. So we'll do 0 here. Sorry, I scrolled. Do 0, hit apply. Now I'm going to duplicate this so that my angle stays exactly the same, and I just did Control D on my keyboard, or I missed. Now I did Control D on my keyboard for duplicate. I'm going to move this down. I'm going to hold Alt as I do that to keep that perfectly in line, and now I'm going to type in 180 so that it's at the bottom of the circle. And let's bring this down a little bit more so that that looks like that circle's complete. There we go. Now, I am on the bottom of the circle, but it's a little bit hard to read, and it's a little bit hard to read because I'm going around the circle clockwise. If I want to be able to read it on the bottom of the circle, I can choose counterclockwise, and instead of going around the circle using the baseline as a reference, it will now go around the circle using the cap height as the reference. So now all the tops of the letters are hitting that line on the bottom, and everything is readable on the bottom. So again, in order to do that, you need 2 lettering segments. Otherwise, it'll just continue writing all the way around the circle. And then if you want something on the bottom to be readable the way that you think of normally, you'll want to have it 180 degrees, that's the bottom of the circle, and then counterclockwise. That's what allows you to read it this direction. All right, so I'm going to delete that. And let's go back in here and let's change this to straight for a second. And then let's go ahead and go to custom. So custom, when you start out and hit apply, is going to look just like your straight line type, except now you'll notice there's little triangles in each corner. Those triangles indicate that those are straight points and there's a straight line in between them, but it also indicates that you can now edit this line. So if I come over here and I want to edit this line, if I put my cursor over that line, it has a little line beside it. It says I'm on an editable line. If I left click, I will add a straight point. If I right click, I will add a curve point. And you can drag those any which way you want, and you can really mess up your lettering. But if you have smaller lettering along a more gentle path, think of like the scallop of a police badge or something a little bit smaller along a more gentle path, this can work beautifully. Also, so let me delete that, and you've got the handles for these curves and they're going all kinds of crazy. But if I want to have that arc out perfectly, I can hold Control as I click on this curve point, and it will cause it to arc out perfectly. So along a more gentle path, it can work very, very, very well. All right, but you'll also notice that not all my verticals stay vertical. As I'm going along that path, all of my letters are kind of rotating around that path. All right, next, let's go back to straight, just to kind of clean up any spacing or rotation weirdness. And let's go down to perspective. So perspective, I'm going to hit apply. Perspective puts a line on the top and a line on the bottom and a straight point in each corner, and both lines are editable. So I can edit these lines and move them in or out, and I can make what looks like movie crawlers from the late 1970s, or I can make it look like I'm going down the side of a building if I want. You've got a lot of flexibility here. The other thing is, so let me hit undo a couple of times and get this back to where I started. You can also like right click and edit this line. So I can curve this out so I can make it look like it's coming really forward in space and the edges are a little bit farther back. Or I can do the reverse. Make it look like it's going really far back into space and the edges are coming forward. So you have a lot of flexibility with this. The envelope line type works the same way, except, so let me grab the, let me grab this, let me duplicate it and move this down so we have both of these. Envelope works exactly the same way, except it doesn't move things back and forth in space. So all my verticals stay vertical, my letters don't rotate around anything. Envelope is really great for kind of conforming to a shape. The perspective is a little bit better for making it look like it's going down the side of a truck or on the side of a building, or giving that kind of very perspective look to it. All right, so envelope is really great for doing arched lettering, where it kind of does that very collegiate type arch, but all the verticals stay vertical as opposed to rotating around. All right. Both of these have the ability to have you kind of swap out your lettering, and you can start to use these guys as templates. So let me start with something with a few less letters. So I usually start with something of a 5 or 6 letters. Let's go team, and then I'm going to put a couple extra letters because I want something that's about the normal number of names, letters in a name. And then let's do, if I could spell, let's do athletic block. It's got that nice slab serif. It'll show off those angles really, really well. And then let's go in and change this to envelope. I'm going to drag this up and drag this up as well. I think that looks about right. And so let's look at swapping out the lettering value. So this would be something if I was doing a bunch of names for a team or something like that. You could have a basketball or whatever below that. So I can change this out. If I put in my name, keep doing that with caps lock, and I keep forgetting it's on, sorry guys. If I put in my name's very, very long, and it will squish to fit. If I put in Sam, it will stretch to fill. So let's go back to what we had before. And this time, same number of letters, same letters. I just changed the order so it's X, team X, just to give myself the extra letters. The thing that's doing this, and the thing that's making it work this way, is actually this scale to fit right here. And what that does is, if it is on, so you set it up, you get it the way that you want it, you use the number of letters that's kind of good for a medium or kind of the middle of the road for the number of letters in all of the team names or whatever. Set it up, get it the way you want it, hit apply, and then you can go in and you can start changing these out. And if the name is longer, it will squish to fit. And if it is shorter, it will stretch to fill. And again, that's scale to fit that's doing that. So let's go back and set it up again with that kind of medium number of letters for a name. And this time let's turn this off, and I will hit apply. And now if I put in my name, it will still squish to fit, but if I put in Sam, it will follow the shape, but it won't stretch to fill. So you have a little more normal looking letters, you have kind of the overall arch of the design, but it's not stretching to fill. So that's up to you if you want it to completely fit that shape, or if you're okay as long as it stays contained within that shape. Those are kind of your two options, and that's what scale to fit does for you. So the next thing is, include descenders. Descenders are going to be, and we'll need a different alphabet for this, so let's start this over. So we have all of our aspect ratios correct. Let's do Samantha. And we will put on envelope. And I'll actually just leave it kind of here for a minute. So with include descenders, if I swap this out to something with an A, so let's say Sammy, include descenders is off, so it will not include the descender of the Y in that shape, so it's coming out down below. I had scale to fit on, so it kind of still stretched out and was kind of crazy. So let me undo that. Hit apply, and let's change this out so you can see it when it doesn't stretch it. There you go. So descenders are not included in this shape. even if the shape was arched. Now, let's undo again. And this time I will include descenders, hitting apply before all these changes, and change it back to Sammy. Hit apply, and now it will fit the whole lettering within that shape. So all of that is how you prefer to set up if you're using this as a template. If you're not using it as a template, it doesn't matter as much other than what do you want to fit within that shape. But with all of those different line types, you have the ability to manipulate your lettering segments to form whatever shape you really need it to be. It's really creative and really useful when matching artwork for your customers and setting up designs for them. But definitely give it a shot and definitely play with it a little bit and see what you can come up with.